Hello, everyone. I am Becky Nova, the founder of Lady Landlords, and I am coming to you today, as I always do, on Tuesday evenings at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I come to you both live on Becky Nova 24 at Instagram, and then also I am live in the Lady Landlords Facebook group. So I'm just going to check for a second to make sure that we have everybody on and that we are live. All right, it looks like we are doing good. Hi, everybody. I see quite a few people on. So I'm happy that people are making it over here. I am just going to check and make sure we are live also in Lady Landlords. So every Tuesday, I'm sure you're familiar if you are tuning in this Tuesday, we always start with a little bit of a mini training and kind of share what's going on in the world of real estate a little bit. And then the second half is always answering your questions. So if you have any question about real estate, a deal that you got going on, something like that, feel free to write that in so then that way I can answer that question once we get there. And yes, one of the comments I'm getting on Instagram is about how gorgeous the weather looks where I am. And yes, thank you. My weather here is absolutely fantastic. If you are new and have not been following along with my story, with my journey, one of the things that I'm actually working on is becoming a location independent, meaning that I can work from anywhere, live from anywhere, that I can still function no matter where I am in the world, and I can just gonna go travel. So my husband and I are testing out 5 weeks in the Dominican Republic. We are just finishing up week 2, so we got 3 more weeks to go. We are actually completely shocked with how fast this has gone. We were thinking about the fact that we're like almost halfway through our trip, and that seems insane to us, but it is what it is. We're trying to make sure to make the best of all of this. So I'm trying to make sure, actually one of the reasons I wanted to do this call at this time is because I can sit outside still and it's so nice and still so sunny here. So it's one of my favorite things, but as the founder of Lady Landlords, I am still working from here. I am still running business, still running things how they go. And I am still committed to making sure to answer all your questions. So once again, if you have questions about real estate, feel free to write those down in the chat, and I will get to that after I share a little bit of our mini training. A couple first announcements. I always start with that before the training here. First couple announcements I would like to share would be, one, I just want to say congratulations to all of the women that are participating in our free 5-day challenge. We actually started the Lady Landlords Empire Builders Challenge yesterday. Yesterday was day 1. We just completed day 2 now. We had over 400 ladies sign up to take the Lady Landlords Empire Builders Challenge. And what that challenge is based on is the idea of actually taking action. One of the things that I feel like you probably hear all the time in different groups and other people that are investing in real estate is, oh, well, is this a good deal? Is this a good deal? Should I move forward with this? I'm evaluating this. That all falls under that category of analysis paralysis, right? And a lot of people aren't sure really what that next step is and what the right step is for them. And that's something that I really want to be able to help with. So that's why I started the Lady Landlords Empire Challenge. My phone is going to die. See if that helps my peeps out on Instagram. Okay, it looks like it did. And then everybody on Lady Landlords should still be able to watch there. So now look, now you guys got even a better view of the sky if you're watching me on Instagram. So what I am doing down here is making sure to still run that. So we just finished up day 2. I'm so proud of all the ladies that are participating in the challenge. If you haven't seen or heard about the Lady Landlords Challenge, make sure to go over the Facebook group, Lady Landlords, and you just type in hashtag Empire Builders and you will see all the posts of all the great things that the ladies are working on there. It's a really, really cool thing to see. It's been incredibly inspirational, and it's so cool to be able to see women really starting to take steps and really start to take action on what it is that they were really hoping to kind of get out of real estate. So that is totally cool to me. Also, we're going to have next steps for what the challenge is going to look like. That's going to come up on Friday. So this week is actually going to be a little bit of a bonus week. I'm also going to be doing a live on Friday. Not quite sure what time yet. We will see how that works out. But that is something that I'm going to be working on. So keep an eye out for some news about that announcement coming this coming Friday, okay? And it's gonna be something really, really quick, something really, really short, and a fast turnaround time. So if you're somebody that's really looking to take action and is ready to get moving, this is something that you want to hear about on Friday. So keep that in the back of your mind. Now, what I wanted to share about today was a little bit of my longer term plan down here with the Dominican Republic. As many of you may know, one of the things that brought me down to the Dominican Republic is the idea of short-term rentals. So short-term rentals is a market that I have not gotten into. I have done long-term rentals since I started investing in real estate about 2.5 years ago. And if you don't know my story, you can find a little bit more about me on my YouTube at Live Free with Becky Nova at youtube.com. But one of the things that I thought would be really kind of cool to add to my portfolio would be adding in a short-term rental. So my husband is from the Dominican Republic. So we already own a long-term rental down here, so we thought it would make sense to be able to purchase another property down here, and this would be a great way to really add to our portfolio in a place that we know and that we're comfortable owning, managing, living, all of those types of things. We know the system a little bit better because my husband, being a dual citizen, really kind of adds that little extra bonus for us. So we came down, we did spend our first week, like I said, we're on week 2 of our 5 weeks in the Dominican Republic. Week 1, we spent with family, countryside, all that type of stuff. And then we actually checked into our own Airbnb. We are staying over in the Punta Cana, Bávaro type area, much more touristy here, but clearly that's where it would make sense to own an Airbnb. And I am going to be evaluating certain properties and going to look at different short-term rentals next week. So that's what our live's going to be about next week. So make sure to tune in to really dig a little bit deeper into some of the numbers down here. But I just wanted to kind of give an impression and share with people what it's like down in some of these really touristy areas during what we have going on living in a worldwide pandemic. So what our goal was during our 5 weeks here to be able to identify a property that would be income producing, that would be something that we would be able to stay in and use, and also would be able to rent out. That was our plan. I had been able to look at numbers for places. I was able to look up what we'd be able to rent them out for, all those types of things. And this is something that I think is really important. It was really great to see all those things on numbers. It was really great to be able to look at these things and say, hey, this sounds interesting. But you have to remember to always dig deeper than just what those superficial numbers tell you at the beginning. So when we now got down here, I was so excited. I had already booked a bunch of places that are available, that are for sale, that I would be able to kind of look at. I got new construction. I got already built. I had a nice kind of array of things, a couple different price ranges, and I was really excited to see where that was going to go. But when we got down here, this place is empty. Not only the place that we're specifically staying, we're staying in a Airbnb in a condo complex. You can see it pretty much on my Facebook if you're in Lady Landlords, but here you go if you are on Instagram. This is kind of this little complex that we have. And you can see, sorry for the people in Lady Landlords, you probably can't see this as much, but for all of you on Instagram, how good of a sunglass tan have I done so far? I gotta say, that takes a lot of skill to be able to leave one big strip of whiteness in the middle of your cheek. So the rest of my week's gonna be balancing that out now that I got to notice that on live camera. Totally cool. So in this complex, there are a lot of other people that are renting out apartments here. So it was something that was really interesting to learn about how the system kind of works here. But this place is empty. And I'm not just talking about that apartment complex that I showed you. I'm actually talking about a bunch of the resorts around here. So we have, it's probably about a 5-minute walk. Our complex is right here up against the water, right up against the beach. And clearly that's kind of prime retail space here. There are a ton of those all-inclusive resorts right next to us. You probably, if you're watching me on Instagram, or I think I posted about Lady Landlords too, we actually walked, my husband and I checked into one of the all-inclusive resorts about 200 feet down the beach here and checked in for the weekend, and we're able to use the all-inclusive package there. And we really did that because you have to remember, right now in the Dominican Republic, there are actually curfews that due to COVID. So right now They just opened indoor dining back up a couple days ago, but otherwise everything closes at 5 p.m. during the week, and during the weekends everything closed at noon. So try talking about, wanting to go out or experience a culture or go to a restaurant or go get some local food. You can't do that on the weekend, especially even after noon. So that clearly made things a little bit more difficult for us. So we said, you know what, let's just check into a resort. And that actually really helped us with our research into the short-term rental market here in the Dominican Republic. So when we were walking just up and down the beach over the past week, one of the things that we thought was so interesting is you can see all the chairs or all like the little cabanas and little huts that people would be sitting in normally. If this was normal conditions, if this was not, 2020 now going into 2021, you would be able to see all those people, all these tourists from all over the world be sitting out there. There'd be thousands of people. Now you just walk up and down the beach and it's just empty beach chairs. It's just completely nobody here. And there were some places that either had beach chairs out and just had nobody sitting in them, or they just had nobody. There were nobody beach chairs. They just kind of had like the remaining part of like the cabana there. So one of the things that we actually did, my husband had talked to a couple of the security guards that were still kind of patrolling on the beach and kind of said, hey, like what's going on? Like, is this place open? Is it closed? Is there nobody here? And a lot of the information that we got was still that a lot of the resorts just did not even open. Here where we are in the Punta Cana area of the Dominican Republic, a lot of resorts didn't even open until about a month ago, around December 18th, so literally almost a month ago. Then since they still open, they're clearly not at full capacity. Other resorts just decided not to open at all. They are still completely closed. They don't have a beach chair out. They got nothing. And then the ones that do actually have those beach chairs out, it's still really kind of very sparse. There's clearly not that many people there. When we checked into the resort, like I said, about 200 feet from where I am now, that resort, same thing. From my perspective as the tourist, it was great. There was no lines at the buffet. There was no lines at the bar for my drinks. It was kind of cool with that type of sense. But the tourist industry has really kind of taken a hit in a lot of places because of that. And that has really kind of affected what that short-term rental is looking like. So what I thought was really interesting is that right now there are still very high prices. We're still paying, or expected to, paying a premium to be able to purchase these properties, yet there's not really this demand as you would normally see. Right now we are in January. The Dominican Republic is incredibly popular, especially for locals. A lot of people come back to the Dominican Republic during the holidays. They want to be here for Christmas, otherwise known as Noche Buena here in Spanish-speaking countries. Christmas Eve is usually what's celebrated, and also that week between New Year's. It tends to be a week of really just downtime. A lot of people are off work. It's kind of a little bit of a party time between that. And even for that, it's been very, very quiet. But during January, as a New Yorker, what is the one thing that I want during January and February? Holidays are over. We're all back to work. It's kind of depressing. Where do you want to go? You want to go to a Caribbean island. You want to go to a place that's warm. You want to get out of the snow. And yet, I'm down here. There's not that many other people here. And what I thought was interesting about the resort that we were actually at over the weekend was there were really no Americans. And that I thought was interesting too. It's something that really just kind of shows how people feel about traveling, how people feel about international travel, about flying on planes, all those types of things. You have to remember too that the Dominican Republic right now is actually one of the few countries that you don't have to, you're not required to get a negative COVID test before you leave the country. So that sounds kind of cool. Hey, I don't have to jump through hoops to be able to get here. But on the other hand, you're kind of thinking, well, how comfortable do I still feel with that? So I feel like all those things are kind of at play here. But I thought it was still interesting that the condos and apartments and buildings here, for me to be able to buy it, there's still the same prices to be able to purchase it as it was if it was still full vacancy, as you would have seen from the 2019-2020 season right before COVID hit, right? If we were talking about a year ago. So I am very interested to see and how my conversation goes with a couple of the realtors that my husband and I are meeting next week, and learning a little bit more about how flexible and how negotiable those prices are. But looking into this already, just from kind of my observer perspective, which is what I can give at this point in time, I just cannot imagine the vacancy rate being the same as it would last year. I feel like places are just empty. I think that that is something to think about when you're looking internationally versus when you're still looking to stay within the continental US. Here's why I say that. One, international is different. Now you're playing with a different country's laws, different country's regulations. Like I said, here we have a curfew throughout the entire country. Could you imagine the United States having a curfew through the whole country? No, because we function on a state basis. So that's not necessarily going to be something that you can kind of just pass for everybody to kind of follow along. But down here in the Dominican Republic, that absolutely is something that will still work. But I think it's going to change the way that people are investing. So from my perspective, being able to purchase in the Dominican Republic or a foreign country right now could be beneficial if I'm going to go on the side that the industry is going to bounce back, right? And clearly I am hoping that is what's going to happen, that we're going to be able to move forward. What I would like to be able to do and what I'm going to be looking for is figuring out how I can find a great deal, meaning a place where the price is dropped, where people are really kind of a little bit scared of what the market looks like, and where those prices are dropped. That's where I'm going to say, let's pick up a place now in the Dominican Republic or some type of Caribbean island. Like I said, for me, we're going to be looking in the Dominican Republic. But for you out there, look in a place that you can get a great deal on right now because of what's happening. And then once things bounce back, hopefully when things bounce back, however you want to look at that, what your risk tolerance is your risk tolerance. But the idea is then when things bounce back and the vacancy rate really decreases and a lot more people are staying at those places, well, now I'm going to have a bigger opportunity for profit purely based on the idea that I was able to get an even better deal than I felt like I'd be able to get in the beginning. So that's what I feel like people should be looking for from like that international short-term rental market. The other thing that I think is actually probably a little bit stronger right now, and listening to some of the other ladies in the Lady Landlords Facebook group, is talking about more of the short-term rental market within their own states or within the United States in general, right? People are feeling a lot more comfortable with that. And I think that's really where the short-term rental market is going to continue to be able to grow, would be places that people can drive to. So once again, I'm going to use my perspective of places that I know. I'm from New York. I can talk about that area much better than I could talk about other places. So I'm from down kind of by the city. So right now, people are not really vacationing in New York City. That's just not happening. There's only outdoor dining. It's like 0 degrees in New York City. I think your bowl of soup would freeze before you were even able to eat that, right? So maybe not exactly the vacation place that you want to be thinking about. But what some of the places that you could be thinking about would be, well, I want to go upstate. I want to rent a cabin. I want to rent a cabin. I want a hot tub. I want my fireplace to be working. That's a place that I would like to go almost for like a long weekend. And I feel that those types of places where they're going to be a little more out of the city, where they're going to be a little more on the country bumpkin kind of side, if you will, and more of those either some types of sports, like maybe like skiing, things like that, where people can really kind of get out and be on their own. I think those markets are going to continue to grow. Same thing, once again, I'm talking New York. So if you're like, listen, we don't have snow here, lady, that's not going to help me. I want to encourage you to think about where are some places that are a little bit more remote that, yes, might still have beaches, but where people can have a little more space. I think that's probably what has more people staying at a complex like I am right now compared to all those other all-inclusive resorts that have thousands of people there. Because once again, people don't want to be on top of each other. People don't want to be in a buffet line with other people. People don't want food that other people are breathing on. That's just not how this is going to work down here. But people would be willing to kind of stay in a place where they have their own space that they feel certain would be sanitary when they arrived and that somebody else is going to be cleaning when they leave. And I think that's really where the Airbnb market or the Vrbo, the VRBO, where all those different sites are going to be taking off, is they're going to be looking for places where people can really drive and get there in a couple hours. So once again, you're thinking from New York. That's why a lot of people not only have been moving upstate to Hudson Valley, Putnam Valley, but they're also going to be looking to vacation and spend long weekends, right? We're all kind of trapped at our homes still. We're all kind of just, maybe in this kind of quarantine. Who's working from home? Who's the essential worker that still has to go into office, hospital, whatever type of business that they are working in, who knows? But that is something that you really want to kind of consider, is where are those places that are a little bit closer to you that people can drive. I definitely think that anything with car travel is probably going to be doing a little bit better than air travel for at least the considerable future. Marie made a great comment in the Lady Landlords Facebook group, so I'm going to read that out for those of you that are watching from Instagram at BeckyNova24. Marie made a great point about how interest rates are low. That's not something that, once again, that's not necessarily just in the United States, but those interest rates are probably going to stay low for kind of a foreseeable future right now. I think that's something that you're going to be able to see. So even if you were going to go buy a short-term rental, which would be a investment property, meaning you have to put down at least 20% right now, you're probably looking between a 20-25% with most banks and most mortgages at this current time with this state, this environment right now. Having that low interest rate is going to be great. My husband and I just bought our last property, about a long-term rental in upstate New York. It's a duplex that we bought there as an investment property, and still our interest rate on the investment property was still like 3.5%. Like, that's fantastic. That's something that, like, years ago, that was what only people that were owner occupying properties were able to see. Now I can get that for an investment property. That is huge. That is saving a ton of money, and it's really opening up the opportunity for more people to kind of get into this market and be able to do that. So Marie, thank you for bringing that up. Trisha, thank you so much for saying that I have a soothing voice. I appreciate that. Maybe it is a podcast voice. Maybe doing podcasts is something that we will be doing in the future. Who knows? Let's see where Lady Landlords takes us. I will be doing, actually, it's not a podcast specifically, but if anybody has joined Clubhouse, I am now also on Clubhouse. You can find me there just like you can on my Instagram at BeckyNova24. I'm actually going to be doing a live with a great friend of mine that does some rehabs, especially with the short-term rental market. So I'm going to be talking to her about her experience with that. We're going to be doing that right after this at 6:30. So make sure to hop on. If you're on Clubhouse, make sure to go and follow me at BeckyNova24, and you can find me there. So that is my opinion about how some things are looking for short-term rentals. One other thing that I thought was interesting that I do want to share, and then we'll definitely get to questions. So if you are watching and listening to this and you have questions about short-term rentals, purchasing in another country, purchasing long distance, or just any question about real estate investing whatsoever, please go ahead and write that down in the chat now, so that way I can make sure to answer it while we still have time. But while I'm waiting for questions to come in, one of the things that I also wanted to share was one of the other observations that I've had down here in the Dominican is I thought that it was very interesting that there are still a lot of new construction going up. So I do feel I tend to be more of the positive, half glass full type person, and I feel that other people are really kind of hoping the same thing, especially with what's been going on with the pandemic, and now having a vaccine and moving in that direction, is that there's still a lot of new construction going on. There are still people ready to build up. There are still people that are really ready to be able to go to work here, be property managers, take care of property, provide a bunch of services. It's really still kind of a beautiful thing. So I'm really hoping that things will bounce back and we will see a lot of that new construction that's going on be filled and that space taken up. So that's kind of we'll end on a little bit of a positive note there. So if you are interested in buying in another country and you want some more information about that, or looking to buy long distance, I have a couple quick videos down on my YouTube that talk about how you can purchase in another country, how you can purchase in another state, and how you can manage that. So if you have not followed me on YouTube yet, feel free to go over to youtube.com, Live Free with Becky Nova. Okay, I have probably about 100 different videos over there, all 5 minutes or less, that really take you through some of the information that you want to hear about to answer your questions about what you can do in real estate to be able to grow your portfolio or get started. So I hope that helps. Otherwise, that once again is my take on short-term rentals. So I will make sure to go through and address any other comments, questions that we possibly got during this time. But otherwise, thank you very much for listening in this Tuesday, as we do every single Tuesday. Join me next Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, either live in the Lady Landlords Facebook group, or you can also find me at Instagram at BeckyNova24, and also now on Clubhouse at BeckyNova24, which I will be seeing those of you that are going to come join me over there in Taina. We are going to be talking about short-term rentals as well and dive a little bit deeper into that conversation. So if you're on Clubhouse, come follow me there and join the conversation with Taina and I at Becky Nova 24 at Clubhouse. All right, everyone have a happy Tuesday, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.